गोपीजनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना यामुनातीरवनचारी यामुनातीरवनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना यामुनातीरवनचारी यामुनातीरवनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सदश्री श्रीमद शिलाभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Text 18, Chapter 18, Text number 51. Please repeat. Evam Varsha Sahasrani Manah Shashtaihi Manah Sukam Vidadhanaha Api Na Atrapyat Sarvabhaumaha Kat Indraihi Evam Varsha Sahasrani Evam Varsha Sahasrani Mana Shashtairmana Sukam. Mana Shashtairmana Sukam. Vidadhanopi natrapyat. Vidadhanopi natrapyat. Sarvabhaumah kadindriyahi. Sarvabhaumah kadindriyahi. Evam varsha sahasrani. Manah shashtairmanah sukam. Vidadhanopi natrapyat. Sarvabhaumah kadindriyahi. Evam varsha sahasrani. Manah shashtairmanah sukam. Vidadhanopi natrapyat. Sarvabhaumah kadindriyahi. Mataji's? Evam, in this way, Varsha Sahasrani, for 1000 years, Manah Shashtaihi, by the mind and 5 knowledge acquiring senses. Manah Sukam, temporary happiness created by the mind. Vidadhanaha, executing. Api, although. Na atrapyat, could not be satisfied. Sarvabhaumaha, although he was the king of the entire world. Kat indriyahi, because of possessing impure senses. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Founder Acharya ISKCON BBT. Translation. Although Maharaj Yayati was the king of the entire world and he engaged his mind and 5 senses in enjoying material possessions for 1000 years, he was unable to be satisfied. Purport. The Kat Indriyai or unpurified senses can be purified if one engages the senses and the mind in Krishna consciousness. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam. One must be freed from all designations. When one identifies himself with material world, his senses are impure. But when one achieves spiritual realization and identifies himself as a servant of the Lord, his senses are purified immediately. Engagement of the purified senses in the service of the Lord is called bhakti. Rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. One may enjoy the senses for many thousands of years, but unless one purifies the senses, one cannot be happy. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 9th canto, 18th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled King Yayati regains his youth. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanarsalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukom Garoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Itkripatam Maham Mande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Namane Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswate Devin Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Parshati Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Evam Varsha Sahasrani Manah Shashtai Manah Sukam Vidadhano Pinatrapyat Sarvabhaumah Kadindriyahi. Translation. Although Maharaj Yayati was a king of the entire world and he engaged his mind and 5 senses in enjoying material possessions for 1000 years, he was unable to be satisfied. So Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that one may enjoy senses for many thousands of years, but unless one purifies the senses, one cannot be happy. That means with impure senses, there is no happiness. If somebody is sick, if they are diseased, in a diseased condition, if they are unhealthy, that means they cannot enjoy life like a person who is having a healthy body, strong body. So in a weak state, in unhealthy state, we cannot enjoy. So misidentification is also an impurity. If we are covered, impurity means covering is also one kind of impurity. Say if you want to enjoy nice gulab jamuns, so unless you have your taste buds, so we cannot enjoy. So if you cover your tongue with a plastic cover, wrap it with a plastic cover and try to eat the gulab jamun, so you are not going to enjoy. So when there is covering, there is no enjoyment. So again, misidentification. Misidentification is also a problem. Everybody is thinking, I am this body. This is a great misidentification. Bhagavad Gita's first lesson, we are not this body, we are soul. So with this misidentification, that people are thinking I am this body, there cannot be any happiness. That's also an impurity, because ignorance is impure. This Gita says this body is like a machine, yantra, and the Atma is there sitting inside. Say, for example, in our science of self-realization class, we give them the example of a car and a driver. So this body is compared to the car, and the driver is compared to the soul. So car and the driver, body and the soul. So if you go to the highways, stop a car and ask the driver, who are you? He says, I am Benz, I am Audi, I am Tata Sumo. We laugh at him. So why? Because he is identifying himself with the vehicle in which he is traveling. Instead of telling about his own identity, he misidentifies himself with the vehicle in which he is traveling. So therefore we laugh at him. So what's the problem with this? So in order a car to be maintained properly, a person should take care of the car and he should take care of the driver also. A person may have a very costly imported car, Audi car, Benz car, crores sometimes they spend and import a very posh car. And the rich man is spending every day thousands of rupees in decorating the car. He's a gold embroidery, gold paintings, interior decorations. Every day he's spending thousands of rupees changing the decorations. But he's not feeding the driver. So what will happen? He may use his airbags more frequently. So this will be the result. That means accidents will happen. So that is what is happening in modern society. In spite of so much advancement, in spite of so much technology, science, still people are suffering because everybody is trying to satisfy their senses. They all forgot that they are soul. They have no knowledge about their own identity. So this misidentification, due to this misidentification, whole life people are spending in satisfying their senses. Life after life, 84 lakhs of species. Why we eat, why we sleep, why we work, why we study. Everything is there just to satisfy the senses. So at the end of the day, what happens? There is no happiness. It's an accident. So just taking care of the body is not in itself the goal. So we have to take care of the body, just like the owner of the car, he takes care of the car. That's important, but more important is to take care of the driver. So there is Atma, the knowledge of soul and nourishing the soul. This is the more important subject matter that will help us. That's the only way how we can be happy. So misidentification, we can see in mental hospitals, people misidentify themselves with so many things. One will be identifying himself as a prime minister, superstar, or great cricket star. And what is the result? He is in mental hospital. We admit him in the mental hospital. So in that sense, the whole world is full of lunatics. Full of crazy people. So where is the question of happiness? So this is called upadhi. Different designations. We identify ourselves with so many things. Today we can see there are a lot of religious violence, communal violence, so many varieties of violence. People identify, I'm Hindu, I'm Muslim, I'm Christian, I'm this, I'm that. So these are all upadhis. So unfortunately, neither they follow Bhagavad Gita nor Quran, and they claim I'm Hindu and Muslim. Prabhupada said, I never met one Christian. Who is real Christian? He should follow Jesus Christ. So then he becomes Christian. So simply claiming I'm Hindu, I'm this, I'm that, but not following the principles is no use. And therefore you can see a lot of violence in the name of religion. It's unnecessary. So the real teachings of religion is the first lesson of Gita, first lesson of Bhagavad Gita is we are not this body, we are soul. So unless this foundation is made clear, there is no question of happiness. No matter how elaborate the process is. In our school, we have sometimes 10-mark answers, 20-mark questions, like that. These questions, we may have to write pages and pages, a mathematical question, and we have to derive an answer. So you may write 10 pages, very elaborate answer. But if you make a small mistake on the first step, instead of putting 5, if you put 6, if you misapply one number, no matter how long your answer is, you are not going to get the answer. So here, thousands of years, the king has tried satisfying his senses. So no longer, no matter how much long it is, or how much elaborate it is, how much deep it is, the result is same. There is no happiness. Unless we purify our senses, this satisfying the material senses, there is no happiness. Adyantamanta kaunteya nateshu ramate budha. There is beginning and end for the material happiness. So only in spirituality there is eternal happiness. So therefore, this is the first lesson we have to understand. Otherwise, life after life, we are serving the senses. In this life, you are serving thousands of years, but then millions of lifetimes, we are serving this body. Kamadina, katina katira, palita, durnideshas, tesham jata, mayina karunana, trapano, pashantihi, utsirajaitan, edupate sampratam, labda buddhistamata sharanam, abhyam niyukshatmadase. Kamadina, katina katira. So many lifetimes, I was serving various bodies. So Srila Prabhupada in a lecture, he mentioned that, say, we are serving this body, but actually we are not this body. So that means we are serving something else. We are not serving ourselves. We are trying to serve something else. We were serving, when we are in a dog body, we were serving our dog body. When we were in a cat body, we were serving our cat body. When we were in a cockroach body, when we were in a pig's body. Now we are in this human body, we are serving this body. So we are serving something else. We are not serving us. So Prabhupada said, so anyway we are serving something else, why not serve Krishna? So this is one way of deriving this. So in other sense, Srila Prabhupada also made a point that actually one is serving himself. He is not serving any. Why? Because say I am serving this body. Why? Because this gives me happiness. Ultimately, because I am getting happiness, I am serving this body, which is something else. So ultimately, yes, we are trying to satisfy us, but then due to ignorance, due to not having knowledge of what is real self, so there is no happiness. This is selfie civilization. People are interested in selfie. It's okay, accept it. You can take selfie, but understand what is self first. So then you can take selfies if you can. So self-realization. Otherwise, it's becoming selfie civilization. This word selfie was introduced in Oxford Dictionary in year 2013. And in 2014, they introduced another word called self-itis, which is a mental problem. It's authorized by American psychologist department. So these people who are updating their status, taking their selfies, there is 3 categories also in that, Uttama, Madhyama and Kanishta. Those who take 100 selfie a day, they are considered Uttamadhikari. And maybe, I don't know, some calculation is there. So people, are so much disturbed if they don't give likes, if they don't see their updated profile, every time checking their WhatsApp status, all these things. So people are going mad. So self-realization. So no matter how long we are serving, the result is same. Longer it is, more Maya. So this system of Varnashrama Dharma, in the previous verses also we can see the King Yadu was telling, yes, unless I enjoy my senses, after some time I will get frustrated and then I will take up, unless I get the bitterness of material enjoyment, I may not be able to quit material happiness. So Prabhupada said there is first class intelligence, second class, third class, fourth class. The first class is by hearing one understands the truth, second class by seeing, third class by realizing, and fourth class is even after realizing, he will not understand. So the first class is always better. So intelligent people, just by hearing that material life, there is no happiness, just by hearing, they can understand that there is no use of materialistic life. So this Varnashrama system, even if somebody, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas, 4 stages of life. So even if somebody doesn't want to continue their Brahmachari life after undergoing this Gurukul system, so he enters into Vanaprastha, Grihastha life. Okay, now try to see for yourself or realize for yourself. So after realizing, if you understand, yes, there is no happiness, then you renounce. So there was discussion that just by getting frustration from materialistic happiness, one may not renounce. Because everybody is undergoing frustration, karmis, every one of them, all materialists is undergoing frustration. Even when they are young, they are getting frustrated, but because senses are so strong, so the Maya is so strong, the covering is so strong that they don't realize that they are frustrated. So when we are young, we want to eat more. So we eat more, and then what happens? We get sick. But because because they are young, they recover fast. So it's very difficult to understand their suffering. But when you become old, then you may not recover so fast. The sickness will prolong. But just prolonged suffering will alone may not give us impetus to renounce the material life. So otherwise all these above 50, above 60 years old people should be devotees. Why they are not renounced devotees? Because Maya is a strong covering. So along with this, if one can hear regularly, that's the whole point. When you become old, it doesn't automatically renounce. Along with this, you have to go on with your duties. Whole life, you have to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, regularly understand, read these books, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, hear from devotees, and do some service, and restricted sense gratification. Yes, Grihastha means sense gratification is allowed, but very much restricted. So by following all this dharma, and then when you get beaten up, then maybe there are some chances that one day we may come to senses that yes, materialistic happiness, there is no way. There is nothing called material happiness. There is only spiritual happiness. So this is what we have to do. This is what Srila Prabhupada has given, this whole morning program, this whole, what Srila Prabhupada has given every day, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, reading his books. So this will help. Srila Prabhupada's mercy that in his books, he has revealed this identification, our real identification. Who am I? This is something very basic in Vedic life. In those days, everybody will know that they are not this body, they are soul. But unfortunately today, they have millions of universities, thousands of departments where this education of soul doesn't exist. People have no clue who they are, what to speak of nourishing the soul. They don't know what is soul. So it's so unfortunate. Rather, this education is called a soul-killing civilization. They are completely atheistic education that it is killing the very propensity of the Atma, which is to perform devotional service to Krishna. So save the soul. First understand the soul and then save the soul. We should have the save the soul movement. Otherwise, the so-called spiritual organizations, every year they have different save movement. This year they have, save soil movement. Everywhere, so famous. So yes, we are also for protecting nature, but this is not, the important instruction of spiritual life. It's not the prime instruction. So one year they have save soil movement. The previous year they had save rivers, rally for rivers. Next year they will have save air. They have complete plan. Their idea is not save soil, this, that, their idea is to make profit and increase their bank balance and increase his followers. Then save earth, save air, save water, save ether. Then what? Save mind, save intelligence, save tigers, save whales, save carrot. Every year you can have one movement. You can go on doing this. But save soul. This is the most, if you save the soul, everything is taken care. That's the thing. So if we have this spiritual education given, if we preach Bhagavad Gita, then a devotee will not exploit anything. Neither tigers, nor ants, nor earth, nor rivers. So the so-called spiritual movements, they don't give this real knowledge. Only Srila Prabhupada books, save the soil, save the soul. What is this? In national highways, everywhere they have SOS. Any emergency, you press the button. So I don't know how they understood this soul concept, but save the soul. So Prabhupada gave the real identity. So this instruction, Srila Prabhupada books, which repeatedly you can see in his books, again and again he is mentioning, we are not this body, we are soul. We have to, material happiness, it's animalistic happiness. There is no happiness. Rascal, give up this enjoyment. Be detached. So we are not Mayavadis. All the time speaking only about renunciation, detachment, sense control. Every second word is detachment, sense control. And therefore they fall down, these Mayavadis. Why? Because they don't have higher enjoyment. They have not taken shelter. So they have not taken shelter of Supreme Personality of God, therefore they fall down. So, but Srila Prabhupada, along with this heavy teachings, so he has also given us nice festivals, nice kirtan, and then he has told the importance, the Bhakti Shakti comes from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's unlimited mercy. So it may be very difficult. From day one we are hearing, we are not body, we are soul. After 10 years, again same subject, we are not body, we are soul. So sometimes we may get a feeling that, when we will realize, first lesson till our last moment, we are trying to realize it, it may be difficult. But yes, Guru's mercy, Krishna's mercy, it's possible. So these things, we are not Mayavadis, simply emphasizing one side, all these things, but we have the other side also. Srila Prabhupada gave all these things. Srila Prabhupada gave Krishna Leelas, he gave Chaitanya Charitamrita, amazing pastimes. So all these things, if we hear from a bona fide acharyas regularly, then one day, by their mercy, we may realize we are not this body, we are soul, and only by serving Krishna we will get happiness. So one side we have Mayavadis who are only emphasizing this bitterness of the material world. Another side, we have another extremes who are always, may discuss only Krishna Leelas, only pastimes they discuss. They don't discuss about sense control, giving up sense gratification, detachment from the material world. They may not discuss all these things. We have these professional Bhagavatam speakers, Srila Prabhupada criticize them regularly, who simply speak for entertaining the public, for increasing their followers, for getting more subscribers or whatever, So there may be many great devotees also, Vaishnavas, who may have very eloquent language, who may quote shlokas, but because they have not taken shelter of an acharya, there is no influence of their preaching. So we can see Srila Prabhupada, what an influence he did. Millions of people he has brought into Krishna consciousness. So his books, so has to be distributed, has to be presented as it is. So otherwise, there is no hope for us. So this getting rid of this upadhi, designations, false ego, understanding I am this, I am that, I am Indian, I am Christian, I am whatever, all these things, all these upadhis has to be given up, the false ego. So Mayavadis, they want to kill the I. They say there is no I, everything is Brahman. So, but that is not possible. But what we have to give up is the false ego. So what is real ego? I am servant of Krishna. This is real ego. Understanding I am servant of the servant of the servant is the real ego. That is the real identity. Otherwise, it is not, otherwise killing I, that is not possible. That is Mayavadi's version of killing the upadhi. So we should understand we are servant of Krishna. There was some story from Madhva Sampradaya, I don't know, I don't recollect exactly. Somebody was asking his disciples, so how many of you want to go back home, back to Godhead? So I'm not sure how the story goes, but everybody is saying, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. But then one disciple, he said, what is it? If I goes, I may go. So if I goes, I may go. So what is this? So the first I refers to the false ego. If I goes, the false ego, I may go means no matter, even if I understand I'm not this body, still the mercy of Lord is important. I may go. It still depends on Krishna's decision. So therefore, giving up this I means understanding. Not understanding I'm this body is one point. On the other side, we have to understand I'm servant of Krishna. So otherwise, simply I am renounced, I'm not this body. This is not the holistic realization. So we have to understand that we are not this body, we are soul. And what is soul? Soul is the part of the super soul, and only by unalloyed devotional service to that super soul, the soul can get happiness. And this unalloyed devotional service, bhakti, through bhakti we can purify the senses. It is mentioned, with impure senses we cannot be happy. So how to purify the senses? Starting with tongue, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhaved Grahayam Indriye Sevan Mukhehi Jivat Swayam Eva Spuratyada. So by chanting the holy name, this tongue, two things it can do: vibrate the sound and eat the food. So by taking Krishna Prasadam and by chanting holy names, by dovetailing our senses in Krishna's service, by dovetailing our propensities in pleasing Krishna. So this service is such a blessing. We cannot 24 hours think of Krishna. At least myself, in our beginning stage of devotional service, our mind is so polluted that we cannot constantly think of Krishna. So Krishna has made this devotional service so easy that even from the beginning, if one can engage himself 24 hours in the service of Krishna, engaging your hands, legs, all our senses, and then the mind follows, our physical gross senses, if we can engage in Krishna's service, not wasting our time. So then the purification begins. That itself is devotional service. Not only purification, we start relishing higher happiness. Susukam kartum avyayam. So every act, if we perform for Krishna, then it purifies us. Same water, when we offer to Krishna, that becomes tirtham. Same food, when you offer to Krishna, it becomes prasadam. Same life, when it is Krishna conscious, it becomes divine life. Same fasting, if you do for Krishna's pleasure, it becomes upavas. We are building buildings. Because it is for Krishna, this becomes archanam. We have coined a term. Navavada Bhakti. Archanam is there, but we have archanam. The devotees are building these arches. So it may externally, yes, it is building some buildings, but because it is for Krishna's pleasure, it is directly spiritual matter. The house becomes temple. Housekeeping becomes mandira marjanam. Cleaning the temple becomes purification of heart. So everything, when Krishna is there, then you start, it purifies you and it gives higher happiness. So this is what Srila Prabhupada has given, amazing opportunity. It's a blessings that he has given us this great sadhana, great association, great opportunity for so much of service is available, that just by being with devotees, hearing them, serving them, one can start relishing, one can give up, purify their senses, one can give up their false identifications, give up their upadhis. And nirmalam, mala means stool, nirmala, one can become pure in their consciousness, one can purify their senses, their body will become pure, their existence will become pure. So this is the movement Srila Prabhupada has given, and this is an opportunity which Srila Prabhupada has given. Sometimes maybe because devotee is not so carefully hearing and reading and associating with devotees, so maybe doing some service, maybe hearing something, but because he is not doing so regularly or so seriously or with proper attitude, he may not understand what is his blessings, what an opportunity he has given. So therefore we should be very careful in our sadhana bhakti, that if we don't read Srila Prabhupada books regularly, or if we don't hear Bhagavatam, or simply do service and not hearing, or only hearing and not service, So anything like this with improper approach, with imbalance, so that is not good. So we should have a very balanced approach, proper approach, where we should do all these things with proper consciousness. So then, with their mercy, one day, we may give up all these upadhis and develop and understand that we are soul and servant of Krishna. So thank you all very much. Any questions, any comments, any mistakes? Hare Krishna. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.